It was like 11 o'clock or midnight that she heard like 5 shots.
Neighbors recounting a tense situation overnight as officers opened fire on a carjacked SUV as the driver drove right toward officers. The governor and state lawmakers say they have come to an agreement that could get many kids back into the classroom by the end of the month. And local police officers getting vaccinated as the county and the state open up eligibility even further. ABC 10 News at 11 starts now. Thank you for joining us. I'm Virginia Cha. We do have a lot to get to with the vaccine rollout, but first we want to update you on some breaking news that we've been tracking all morning. A person wanted in connection to an officer-involved shooting is still on the loose. Our 10 News breaking news tracker was the first on scene this morning and closely followed those events as they unfolded. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell is live at that scene in Serra Mesa. Marie, what's the latest?
Well, Virginia, to give you some reference, we are now standing on the street where the shooting happened. You can see behind me the police tape is gone, and talking to neighbors, they say this was a terrifying night, and this is why. Our 10 News breaking news tracker was there in Serra Mesa as CHP officers locked down 2 scenes. The first where the officer-involved shooting happened, and the second where the car involved was ditched. Investigators say this started when CHP officers tried to pull a car over after seeing it swerve lanes. The driver refused to stop, which initiated the chase. Police say the car was taken in a carjacking in Escondido. The car and the officers ended up in a cul-de-sac on Encino near Murray Ridge Road. Both officers got out of their patrol car and approached the stolen car. That's when investigators say the car accelerated towards them, hitting the patrol car and pinning an officer between the two. Police say both officers fired shots. Nearly a dozen shell casings were found on the street, all marked with evidence tags. A couple of streets down from where the shooting happened, the car was found abandoned on Royal Crescent Court. You can see it here with bullet holes in the window. This is police radio traffic describing the moments leading up to officers detaining a 17-year-old girl.
I'm not moving up on this car until we get Abel and we get other people here. I got my gun on the car and then I saw one individual.
For some time, a police helicopter was in the air with canine units working the neighborhood. Police say they also took a 21-year-old man into custody. At this point, police are still looking for a third suspect. Now, investigators say at this point they do not believe anyone was hit by gunfire. As for that officer, he was taken to the hospital where he was treated, and he has since been released, and they believe he will recover from his injuries. We're live from Serra Mesa. Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
Thank you, Marie. Well, right now we are getting ready to hear from Governor Newsom, who says he has reached an agreement with state lawmakers that could get students back into classrooms this month. The deal uses additional funding as an incentive for districts to return to in-person learning. Now, schools would have to reopen up to at least the 2nd grade, and in counties with low case rates, even more grades would have to return. San Diego Unified recently outlined its plan to get teachers vaccinated and have all students back by April 12th. No word yet on if this latest deal would change that. And we're going to listen to what the governor says and update you as we find out more. Also this morning, the first shipments of the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine are arriving in different parts of the country, less than 48 hours after the FDA gave it the green light. Millions of Johnson & Johnson doses now being shipped across the U.S. And now health experts are urging Americans to get whichever vaccine is available, saying all 3 are effective. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has the details.
There's a new ally in the fight against COVID-19. This morning, Johnson & Johnson shipping out the first batch of its coronavirus vaccine to states and pharmacies after the FDA granted the company emergency use authorization.
The trucks are literally rolling off the docks as we speak, and we hope to be able to get shots in arms with literally in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Unlike the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, Johnson & Johnson's only requires a single dose. The vaccine doesn't use the mRNA technology used in the other 2 approved shots either. Instead, it utilizes an adenovirus vector method, but the end result is similar. The body learns to recognize and launch an immune response to the coronavirus spike protein. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine can also be stored in normal refrigerators, while Pfizer and Moderna's need to be stored at below freezing temperatures.
For the last 13 months, Our physicians, our scientists, our engineers have been working around the clock to make this day possible.
The pharmaceutical company says nearly 4 million doses are going out this week, but then none next week. White House officials tell ABC News they project 20 million doses will be out by the end of the month, but it's not clear exactly when those doses will arrive. Meanwhile, in hard-hit states like Texas, it hasn't been easy getting any of the vaccines. Kendra Wright has been helping thousands, including her father, get inoculated.
I felt so relieved when he got that vaccine.
So far, the CDC says nearly 48.5 million have received at least one dose of the two-dose vaccines. Of these, more than 24 million Americans have been fully vaccinated.
I'd rather go through this right here than to go into the hospital.
Dr. Anthony Fauci urging all Americans to get whichever vaccine is available, stressing they are all safe and effective.
3 really efficacious vaccines.
As for who can get the Johnson & Johnson shot, it'll be based on eligibility requirements of each state. Andrew Dimber, ABC News, Washington.
Speaking of eligibility, Phase 1B of the county's vaccine rollout is now moving forward with expanded eligibility, which includes members of law enforcement. ABC 10 News anchor Mary McKenzie explains how Scripps Health is getting shots into the arms of San Diego officers and deputies.
Members of law enforcement getting vaccinated this morning at Scripps Hospital La Jolla on the rooftop of the parking lot, where the site was ready with several hundred doses first thing Monday morning. These syringes set aside for law enforcement members and the staff who support them.
We're in the community every day, not only for our own risk, but the risk that we pose to the public.
Some of them administered by the president and CEO of Scripps Health himself, Chris Van Gorder, who also happens to be a reserve assistant sheriff and has been vocal about getting these frontline workers their doses.
These are, our first responders. They're the ones that are running in when others are running out, and, we want to protect them.
And making it as easy as possible for them.
I just got off of work the night shift all night, driving down here. It's good not to have to get out, find a building to go into, just pull into my car, stay in it, get the vaccine, and when my waiting time's up, just be able to get on my way.
As of Saturday, Phase 1B opened up. That means food and agriculture workers and anyone in education. Roughly 500,000 more San Diegans now eligible to get in line. Many feeling passionate about the importance.
Taking care of yourself as well as the community, and we're not going to get a handle on this until we do our part.
Mary McKenzie, ABC 10 News.
Here's a quick breakdown of who exactly is eligible under Phase 1B. So in addition to people 65 and older, it includes people who work in these sectors: emergency services, that includes emergency operations workers, fire and law enforcement, child care and education, and farm and food workers, and that includes grocery store and restaurant employees. You can find more details on the county's vaccine dashboard online. As we see vaccine eligibility open up, today we're also seeing tweaks to California's rollout system aimed at making everything more consistent across the state. The same groups are now eligible across all of the state's counties. Before this, we saw some counties expanding faster or slower than others. Blue Shield is overseeing some of the changes. The company has been tapped to monitor the rollout across the state and help make recommendations on vaccine distribution in hopes of streamlining communication and the process as a whole. Well, just a moment ago, we told you about the state's plan to get schools open by the end of this month. Here in San Diego, at least one district is looking to expand its in-person learning program sooner. The superintendent of the San Diego Union High School District said over the weekend the county has approved their reopening plan, still needs state approval, which could come sometime this week. Now, the state received the district's plan Saturday. They have 7 days to consider it. The superintendent says the aim is to bring more students back to the classroom next week. And starting today, San Diego State welcoming back more students and faculty to campus. This is coming after the university announced in January they did plan to allow more in-person learning this spring. The campus dealt with a major outbreak of COVID cases during the fall semester that resulted in most classes being virtual this semester. Out of 32,000 students, about 2,800 are enrolled to start in-person classes.